Welcome back to another video. Today I have 5 great mecha series which you could recommend to someone who just isn't a fan of mecha, and chances are they'll still probably like it. But first, this video was sponsored by Redbubble, which is a place where you can get all sorts of merchandise, even if it's anime, video games, you name it, they've got something there. And since I'm talking about mecha, I got a lot of mecha stuff from them, like my awesome, beautiful graphic Gundam t-shirt, my coveted holy grail of anime cups, which is Shinji holding a white cup on a white cup, holding a white cup with him on it in a white cup. It's like if I were to cosplay as Shinji right now, it'd be pretty crazy. And of course, I have this really awesome Xeon phone case, which as of right now there is a big sale going on for just the phone cases alone. It's 25% off, and it just started today, so go ahead and check that out. They've got a ton of cases for both iOS and Android devices. So the big inspiration behind this list is that I often find people who are just adamantly against mecha, and they really haven't seen the right shows. I think if they would just try some of the shows on this list, and that might just change their opinion about it, and they come in watching shows like Gundam Wing, which is more about the mechs than it is about the characters. I guess that is debatable, but I have a review about that if you're a diehard Gundam Wing fan. And then we have other people who, they see mecha and it looks like something's very strange, they don't know how to get into it, and they want to try it but just don't know where to start. So that's why I've made this list, just to always recommend my friends, because my friends always say the same things too. And hey, now we have this video. So starting off at number 5, and by the way, no particular order with most of these. I tried to pick anime from different genres just so that we can get like a mix of things, so that more people could get involved with this list. But number 5 is Escaflowne, and if you're someone who's a big fan of adventure with fantasy and also like action and a little bit of romance mixed in there as well, then you should definitely check out Escaflowne. It's going to be right up your alley. There's an anime series and there's an anime movie, but I don't really know which one to recommend, because I hear that the movie is more for like the girl perspective. I don't know, I think they're both alright to me, but I don't really understand why this is considered mostly a mecha, because it's not actually a robot, it's not actually a machine, it's like metal. It's kind of like a big hydraulic suit of armor, and I wouldn't really consider that to be a mech, but it is a beautiful anime series in a very nice fantasy environment. So it's not just your typical doom and gloom war series like you would find in some of the other stereotypical Gundam, not Gundam, but mecha series. And yeah, I guess a lot of Gundam series are in this doom and gloom environment. So next at number 4, we have Gurren Lagann, which is an anime that tries to push the envelope at every opportunity that it gets. And this is something that I recommend to people who aren't really a fan of mecha, because it just feels like your normal, like crazy over-the-top anime series that has robots, and it has this massive scope to it, because they first start off, they're underground and very humble origins where humans are trapped underground and they're being forced to dig, and they just kind of live in these caves, and then they find this mech and then they break through. And that's really all I'm going to say about that, because by the time you get to the end of the anime, like it'll be a surprise to look back and see how far these characters have come. It's really funny. I like the art style to it, but it's also got a few dramatic bits as well. It's something that I would definitely recommend to someone who is not a fan of mecha. However, due to Gurren Lagann's humble origins, some may find the first few episodes to be a bit slow, but I would just recommend to stick in 6 to 12 episodes. You're going to see what I'm talking about, because it's going to get fun, and it's going to get fun real fast. Number 3 is an anime which I'm pretty sure this is going to be a controversial pick, and the reason why I picked this was because I'm not just going for specifically like critically acclaimed shows for this list. I'm trying to get ones which would be the most impactful for a larger audience of people, which are going to be checking this one out. Number 3 is Code Geass, which is a show that it has mechs in it, but I wouldn't necessarily label it as a mecha. They just live in a world where they use mechs for combat, but the majority of the story revolves around the characters and their abilities that they have. The Geasses, like with Lelouch, he's trying to overthrow the world. He's got this eye, and he has sovereignty over people. He can command them to do whatever they want, and for somehow this doesn't turn into some strange like hentai. If I had an eye like that, I'd probably be doing different things, but I guess, different strokes, different folks, and Lelouch just has an ambition of his own. He wants to overthrow the entire world, and that's what he does. If you're a fan of action and thrillers, then you should be checking this one out. And this is definitely a show that I hear a lot of people say, I don't like mecha, but I like Code Geass. I hear that a lot. Number 2 and number 1 is where we get really into the cream of the crop of some of my favorite anime series of all time. Number 2 is a 6-episode OVA, which is Gundam War in the Pocket. Now, the thing about Gundam War in the Pocket is that, yes, while it exists within the Universal Century timeline, which is a timeline which spans at least half of the Gundam anime series that are out there, and is also a bit of a side story to the original Gundam series because it happens somewhere in between there, you don't need to know anything about Gundam at all to watch this. All you need to know is that there's a neutral space colony with a young boy who gets mixed up with a soldier who's there to spy on the workings of the colony, and it's about the relationship between the two, the friendship that they have, and some of the complexities that are added to the story because, you know, there's a war going on. So lastly, we're down to number 1, and I'm going to let you tell me, what do you think number 1 is? Let me know about that in the comment section below. I'll wait a bit, go ahead and tell me, and chances are, if you've been around on the channel for a bit, you know exactly what it's going to be. Number 1 is Super Dimension Fortress Macross. It's a mecha series from 1982. It's an oldie, and not only is this something that's going to bridge the gap between people who like mecha and don't like mecha, but it also bridges the gap between, it basically becomes the gateway for people to get into older anime because it's a story that is so strong and so impactful and so well written that even if you don't like older anime and you're looking at it like, why does this girl look like she has like cinnamon rolls in her hair, even if you're thinking that, because I thought that and I like older anime, you're still gonna like Super Dimension Fortress Macross. It's just a beautiful story. It's sci-fi, it's drama, it's got some of the best romance that I've seen in anime. It executes this love triangle so well, and I really haven't seen anything like it. And it's something that's so good, honestly, to me, that I kind of feel like I don't want to watch any more, like, of the other Macross series, aside from, like, I tried with a few things, I was disappointed, and I just want to remember it fondly as just being such that great show. And it's still something to this day that people will hit me up and say, Bob, thank you for recommending this show to me. It's been something that has really changed my perspective on older anime. So let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. What are some of your favorite anime series that you would recommend to people who do not like mecha series? And so before I let you guys go, I wanted to bring your attention to this poll that I created in the Anime Dojo, where I asked people the very same questions of what are some mecha series that you would recommend someone who isn't into mecha? And I got some great responses here. Now, the thing is, there are some of these which are worthy of being added to my very own list, but just because it's been such a long time since I've seen them, I didn't add them, such as Pat Labor, which is something that if you're looking for a mecha which is heavily grounded in reality, you should definitely be checking out Pat Labor. And then there's also shows like Full Metal Panic, which from what I remember, that was a really funny mecha. Like, it's mecha, but it's also comedy at the same time. You don't see that too often. And of course, there are the shows like Eureka 7. Of course, I'm probably, saying that wrong. Everyone has the different pronunciation of that, but there are plenty of great shows there. So the thing about Neon Genesis Evangelion is that even though it's one of my favorite anime, and I did have Code Geass on this list, the thing is that Code Geass picks up right away and gets into the story and gets the ball moving. There's exciting things about the story which would keep people who don't like mecha already involved in the story. However, Neon Genesis Evangelion, it is a bit slow in the beginning, and I know from experience of having had friends of mine watch this, like recently I had a friend of mine watch that, and he just came away saying, like, I didn't like it, the opening. He didn't get very far in it, and even though I think it's a great series, it's something that, it's opening, it's definitely going to be something that drives people away if they can't watch something longer than 6 episodes before they decide if they want to drop it or not. So it's a good anime, but I don't really think it's the best for people who don't like mecha anime already. So let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section below. What did you think of my list? What did you think about the dojo list? And give me a list of your own. It'd be interesting to hear your responses about this. And I'll see you next time.